The first time I laid eyes on that mansion, I felt like I had stepped into another world. From the street, it looked almost haunted, paint peeling off in long strips, windows covered in years of grime, and a garden completely overrun by weeds and wild vines. Most people drove past it, shaking their heads, seeing nothing but trouble and expense. But to me, it was love at first sight. There was something about the way the old roof sloped, the intricate carvings on the wooden door, and the towering stone columns that made my heart race. I could already imagine the stories hidden inside, grand parties in the ballroom, laughter echoing down the hallways, and secrets whispered in corners that had witnessed over 100 years of life. I remember pulling out my phone and snapping pictures from every angle, already daydreaming about how I could restore it to its former glory. People laughed when I told them I wanted to buy it. "Are you crazy?" they asked. "That place is falling apart." But I couldn't hear them. I was already imagining peeling away the layers of dust and neglect to reveal the beauty underneath. I knew it wouldn't be easy. Locals warned me about the HOA, saying they were strict and unyielding, controlling every little detail about properties in the neighborhood. But I felt confident. The mansion had stood for 100 years, it could survive a little bureaucracy, right? After weeks of negotiations, inspections, and paperwork, the day finally came. I held the keys in my hands. Walking through the front door, the air smelled of old wood and time itself. Sunlight filtered through the cracked windows, highlighting decades of history. I took a deep breath and thought, this is it. This is my chance to bring history back to life. Little did I know, the real challenge wasn't just the mansion, it was the battle I was about to face with the HOA. Restoring a 100-year-old mansion is nothing like fixing a regular house. The moment I stepped inside, I realized just how massive the task ahead would be. The floors creaked ominously under every step, the walls were cracked from decades of neglect, and the roof had holes big enough to let the rain in. Every corner I turned seemed to whisper, "Are you sure you're ready for this?" But I was determined. I wasn't just fixing a house, I was reviving a piece of history. The first challenge was structural. Some of the wooden beams were rotting and needed complete replacement. The plumbing system was ancient, leaking in multiple places, and the electrical wiring was outdated and unsafe. I had to bring in specialists, but I made sure to document every step for my YouTube channel. Viewers loved seeing the transformation, from crumbling walls to freshly painted rooms, from dusty floors to polished hardwood shining in the sunlight. Then came the fun part: restoration of the details that made the mansion unique. I spent hours carefully sanding down old banisters, restoring stained glass windows, and cleaning centuries-old fireplaces. Each improvement felt like uncovering a hidden secret of the house. Slowly, the mansion started to transform. The grandeur of the past peeked through, mixed with a fresh, modern touch. Neighbors who had once avoided the house started stopping by, curious about the progress. Some even offered tips, while others just watched, skeptical. But for me, every small victory, fixing a window, restoring a door, polishing the floors, was a reminder of why I fell in love with this place in the first place. Little did I know, while I was pouring my heart into this restoration, the biggest challenge wasn't going to be the mansion itself, but the people who claimed they had control over it. Just when I thought the hardest part was over, the nightmare began. One sunny afternoon, a letter arrived that made my stomach drop. It was from the HOA, the Homeowners Association. They weren't just sending a casual reminder or a friendly warning. No, this was serious. Their message was blunt and threatening. Pay the fees immediately, or we will take action. I couldn't believe it. I had bought the house legally, restored it carefully, and followed every rule I knew about. How could they suddenly claim I was in violation? At first, I thought it was a mistake, maybe just some bureaucratic error. I tried calling them, but all I got were automated responses and cold, impersonal emails. Then, 2 days later, the situation escalated in a way I never imagined. I opened my front door to find a sheriff standing there, holding a notice in his hand. My heart pounded as he said the words that sounded like something out of a horror movie: "Pay or we'll destroy the property." Destroy it. The very house I had poured months of sweat, money, and heart into, gone if I didn't comply. I felt a wave of panic, anger, and disbelief all at once. My mansion, with its century of history, was now threatened by a group of people who claimed they had the power to tear it down over unapproved modifications that I had done carefully and legally. I realized immediately that this wasn't going to be a simple argument. The HOA wasn't just unhappy, they were determined to intimidate me, to scare me into submission. But I refused to back down. This was my dream, my project, my passion. I wasn't about to let a bureaucratic battle destroy what I had worked so hard to create. That day, I knew one thing for certain: restoring the mansion was only the beginning. The real fight was just about to begin. I realized quickly that I couldn't handle this alone. The threat of demolition from the HOA was real, and the sheriff's notice made it official. Every nail, every floorboard, every dollar I had poured into the mansion was at risk. I had to act fast. I started by contacting lawyers who specialized in property and historical preservation. The legal maze was overwhelming. Contracts, regulations, and loopholes seemed endless, but I refused to be intimidated. At the same time, I decided to take my story public. I shared everything on my YouTube channel: the mansion in its current state, the letters from the HOA, and the threat of destruction. Almost immediately, viewers began flooding the comments with support, outrage, and advice. People from across the country were shocked that an HOA could threaten to destroy a 100-year-old piece of history. Donations and volunteer offers started pouring in. It was incredible. Suddenly, I wasn't fighting alone. Negotiations with the HOA were intense. Days blurred into nights filled with emails, phone calls, and legal meetings. Every step forward felt like progress, but every setback reminded me that the HOA wasn't going to give up easily. They had power, bureaucracy, and rules on their side, but I had something stronger: persistence, evidence, and a community of supporters who believed in saving this mansion. Finally, after weeks of relentless effort, the tide began to turn. The HOA was forced to back down. They could no longer legally threaten demolition, and the outrageous fees they demanded were drastically reduced. It felt like a hard-fought victory, not just for me, but for the mansion itself. That experience taught me something profound. Dreams aren't just about building or restoring. They're about standing up, defending what you love, and refusing to let fear or intimidation win. The mansion had survived 100 years, and thanks to determination, it would survive me too. Today, standing in the fully restored mansion, I can hardly believe how far we've come. Walking through the grand hallways, I run my hands along the polished wood, peer through the gleaming stained glass, and feel the echoes of history that fill every room. The mansion, once a crumbling relic, now radiates life and elegance, blending its century-old charm with modern comforts. It's more than just a house. It's a story, a dream realized, and a testament to perseverance. The journey wasn't easy. The threat from the HOA tested my patience, my resolve, and my belief in my own dream. But I learned something invaluable. Passion combined with persistence can overcome even the most absurd challenges. People often told me I was crazy to take on a project like this, especially with the HOA looming like a shadow over my plans. Yet, it was exactly that challenge that made the victory so sweet. Sharing the restoration journey on YouTube made the experience even more powerful. Viewers from around the world followed every nail hammered, every wall painted, and every legal battle fought. Their support, encouragement, and sheer fascination reminded me that when you pursue something meaningful, you're never truly alone. The mansion didn't just survive the HOA, it became a symbol of what determination, creativity, and a community united around a dream can achieve. Now, when I look at the mansion, I don't just see a building. I see a century of history preserved, a dream defended, and a personal triumph against impossible odds. And every time someone says, "You can't do that," I smile, remembering the house that was almost destroyed and thinking, nothing is impossible if you refuse to give up. This mansion stands not only as a restored home but as a testament to courage, resilience, and the power of believing in your vision.